All right, welcome back, grade 10s. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are looking at an essay. And I need to remind you that there's really only 3 types of assessment in the -1 stream of social studies in high school in Alberta. There's multiple choice, there's the set of sources, the A1 thing, and then there's essays, A2. So by the time you leave Social 10 this year, whether we are here or online, we want to make sure that you've been exposed to the 2 types of writing. And one way to expose you to it is to show you some exemplars and get you to work through the exemplar. So this is a grade level exemplar, and I want you to begin to break it down. Today we're focusing on that thesis statement. Thesis statement is important because it is in a position paper, it's the whole point of the essay. That the point of the essay is to establish and defend an argument. And this argument said great civilizations are fatally flawed and ultimately fall due to a thirst for power, overextension and exertion of culture and money, and a heavy presence of religion and an imbalance of power. Now, I don't think that grammatically that's a great sentence. You know, there's better ways to reword it. But I will say that there's a lot of content that they've promised us. And a thesis statement is a promise. So if we go through the essay, and after the thesis statement we can't see any connection to, say, thirst for power, then the essay is, by definition, incomplete. You promised me something in your thesis, and then you didn't put it into your body, your essay is incomplete, that's 40%. So the lesson today, in terms of A2, in terms of thesis statements, is what you put in your thesis needs to reflect what you do in your body. It's a promise. So, for example, if I said the Edmonton Oilers are going to regress in 2021 because A, they didn't address their goaltending problem, B, they're not going to be able to replace Oscar Klefbom, and then C, I don't know, McDavid's going to get hurt. And if nowhere in my body do I talk about McDavid getting hurt, then one of the parts of my promise has gone unfulfilled. It's incomplete. And incomplete on the rubric is 40%. So you have to be careful. What we promise in our thesis needs to match what we do in the body. And in this thesis it said great civilizations are fatally flawed. And this row, you went looking for connections to that. Which connections did you guys find? Any? Yes, sir.
The powerful Romans, the great Egyptians, and the Maya empire found their flawed.
There you go. So they look at say those 3 groups again, the Romans, the Egyptians, and the
Maya empire.
The Mayans, okay? And they connected to the idea of fatal flaws. They said, here these are great civilizations, and to be comprehensive, they should establish what made them great. They're great because they had these qualities, whether it be economic power or inventiveness, maybe there's some scientific achievements attached to them, or great because of their ability to affect our history through through literature or psychology or philosophy. But here are some great civilizations, and then they fatally flawed. Now, why are they fatally flawed? We had you guys looking for ultimately fall due to a thirst for power. Did you guys find anything about thirst for power? And where is it?
Well, Egypt was one leader ruling government, and he kind of had they had the most power in questioning, and they're punished or killed and all that.
Okay, so when they looked at Egypt, they looked at the political structure of Egypt, the head of state, the head of government, and they looked at the thirst for power that was often one of the characteristics of what we often call the pharaohs. Anything else that looks at the thirst for power? Thirst for power. I saw your head nodding. Yeah. Okay, so you have civilizations, great civilizations, that want to extend their own power and establish dominance over their neighbors, even if it meant war. There's a thirst for power. That what drives their foreign policy? What drives the foreign policy of countries today like the United States of America? A thirst for power. That even though they know the consequences may be war, the thirst for power is stronger than the negative side of war. Yes?
The fall of Rome.
The fall of Rome, and connecting it to a thirst for power. So we've got this idea of thirst for power, and it's a promise made in the thesis statement, and we should be able to go back and find some kind of connection to it. Another promise is this idea that there's an overextension and an exertion of culture and money. The middle row was supposed to look for that. Yes, sir?
Well, if you look at resources, real text, it has like 4 things. First, despite modern day, American finds itself in the world is able to control and manipulate the hearts and minds of the world through their entertainment industry. The overextension of their resources will run America sick. So it's too late to recover. It's like they're overextending their resources and you need money to overextend that. And what does that say about you as a country if you just do that? And then it's like, they depleted the resources to build the pyramids. Several servants' lives being subject to their masters and domination. Other thing is the overextension of resources and ideas, and that is where the potential fall of America.
Okay.
Yeah, there's stuff.
So it sounds like there's lots of evidence for that. And looking at the potential future fall of America is going to be a major topic you look at tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to look at the fall of Rome and see if we can parallel it with the potential hypothetical future fall of the USA. Anything else about the overextension? If not, the next promise that was made in the thesis was this idea of heavy presence of religion. And we had this mighty group of 3 who was going to look through that essay and say, is there a connection back to the heavy presence of religion in the paper? Anything there?
Give me a second, I just gotta find it. I lost it.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I'll just sit here and smile at the camera. Hey, how you doing, camera? Tell me when it's awkward. Oh, it's awkward.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is find the evidence. Did you find it?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So it talks about how confessions, or fates of criminals were determined by oracles and priests.
Okay, there you go.
And then it also says social imbalance and unrest due to an almighty religious government caused Egypt to fall.
That sounds like a heavy presence of religion causing a great civilization to fatally flaw. Or fatally fall.
Yeah, so like religion and state were separated.
Absolutely. So we need a separation of church and state. Anything else? Anyone else in that row want to jump in?
Maddie has an answer.
Yeah, I get that impression, like the whole year so far. Just like waiting for like just the mic drop moment. Well, the last promise that this person made in their thesis statement is an imbalance of power. Did we see anything about that?
There's some stuff. Like the fall of the Roman Empire was all about power.
Okay.
Not too greedy, not unbalanced.
Okay, so if something's imbalanced, right, then it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to achieve too much power too quickly, then you might see a collapse.
Then you're gonna lose it.
And then you're going to lose it, right? So that definitely is shown in the paper. Yes, sir.
This isn't really in the paper, but the Romans became very corrupt in the government.
Absolutely, they did. Yeah, it's not in the paper, but the Romans got very corrupt as people within government were driven by selfish greed instead of what's in the best interest of Rome, what's in the best interest of that individual. All right, so the lesson today about the essay is I wanted you to read the essay so you could learn more about ancient globalization. That's one of the reasons we read it. Another reason, though, is I want you to focus in on thesis statements and understand that a thesis statement is a promise, and that whatever you state in your thesis needs to be addressed in your body. Otherwise, you're going to be unhappy with that mark. And we have lots of people with, achieving success here in class right now. But the next thing that we're going to be working on, eventually here at least, is you're going to be writing that essay that we've started. And when you do so, I want to make sure that you guys do a strong essay, thesis. So, next up, we're going to get you to do a little bit of collaboration. And you know what? I feel like I should mark you on something today. So I'm going to give you a mark on this collaboration. This is the third assignment on the Google Classroom. This is the one that says, I want you to do some brainstorming. So it's a question for inquiry, and it says, the person I don't know on the other side of the world is in, and remember I can't pronounce it, intricately woven into my quality of life. So the person I don't know on the other side of the world is intricately woven into my quality of life. I'd like to see you guys collaborate, if you can collaborate safely. I'd like you to splash some ideas down on a piece of paper, and in 15 minutes,
That's a lot.
15 minutes, I'm going to come by and see what you have. So at 2:15, we need to move on. Yes?
Question, does this have to be on the weekly to turn it in?
No, you're not going to turn it in because we're living in a pandemic. So I don't want to really receive too much of your work, but I am going to, in a safe way, come by and take a peek and see what you wrote down. So you got about 15 minutes. I'd encourage you to work safely with others, but you don't have to.